The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.
What's up, guys? I hope everybody's good out there today. Now, I gotta wear these glasses because I want to see who's in the chat and give you all shout outs. Jimmy Costanza, what's up? How are you? Scott Bell, PJM Justice, Boston J, thanks for showing up. My pal, Jason R. Smith, thank you. Yeah, I love that intro too. It's a good intro. Well, Don Vito, Casaferro, Gerard D. Blick, Joey Beans, what's up, buddy? John Carlo, Italian Stallion, TT the Norwegian, how are you? Well, it's nice to see everybody here today. Dean Berlin, what's up, Don? Don Berlin, that's my friend right there. I gotta call you. I'm sorry I haven't called you. I've just been busy working, taking care of my kids. I actually just put my tree up a little while ago. I put the lights on it. But it's Christmas time. I love Christmas. I love getting into the spirit. I remember back in the day, all the Christmas past with my family, my mom and dad growing up and spending Christmases with family members and friends. And, a lot of people aren't here no more. This is the reality of life. People come and go, they pass on, and, life goes on and we make the best of it. But that's also a good reason to believe in God, and give your life to God and, follow his way and he'll make you stronger. But, I appreciate everyone showing up today. Ryan Brown, the New Jersey Story, Nick Lynn. And, it's good to get together and talk about certain things that's going on, whether it's current events, whether it's things going on in your life, people who's struggling, and, to be there and help somebody. That's a beautiful thing to give back to someone, yourself. Giving someone your time is pretty big, you know. But so today I wanted to talk about the Michael Franzese and the Sammy the Bull sit down, the Mafia states of America. Now, these two guys are basically legends. You could say that. Sammy the Bull, he started out as an associate, went all the way to the top to become underboss of the Gambino Crime Family. Big accomplishment in the Underworld. Was involved in killing a boss, Paul Castellano. Involved in 19 murders. I'm sure he's not proud of that, but that was that life. And as you get older, I'm sure people change. I'm not the same person I used to be when I was 20 years old, and I know Sammy's not the same person he used to be when he was younger back in those days, running with the mob. And these guys knew a lot of historical men. They were in their company. They had sit downs. They gave orders. They were involved in many crimes. And that's what that life is, the mafia. That's what it's all about. It's all about making money, having people fear you, and eventually moving up the ladder. That's what everybody wants, right? In the underworld. And you get recognition and you get power and you get known. You want people to know you in certain areas of your neighborhood, because certain areas in your neighborhood, that's where the mafia is strong. You know, I'm sure if you go upstate somewhere or to Pennsylvania, the mafia is not strong. People really don't care about the mob. You know, but little cities like New York, Philadelphia, uh, you know, that the mob controls certain things in the city, you know, and they're strong because they have a powerful presence. Well, you go upstate somewhere or Pennsylvania, you know, everyone just owns guns. No one cares about the mob. It's a different ball game. You know, it's like, you know, Paulie G always used to love to stay on Bay 23rd. He never used to like to leave Bath Avenue. Me, I used to go to Avenue U, downtown Brooklyn, you know, all over the neighborhood. And Paulie G would just stay on Bath Avenue, which in that life he was smart because that's where you're strong. You're strong in your neighborhood. Now, also, I want to give Michael Franzese. You know, Michael Franzese, as we know, he was a Caporegime in the Colombo Crime Family. He was a big shot. His father was Sonny Franzese, the underboss of the Colombo Crime Family. He was a big shot. He was a tough guy. He was a class act. He was also a legend. You know, so Sonny put Michael up to get straightened out, and you know, Mikey gets straightened out. His father, of course, helped him. Now, you know, back in the day, that's what fathers did. If you were in the mob, you wanted to straighten out your son because the mob was very powerful back then. You know, they had a long arm and they could reach you anywhere. If you were in New York and someone was in California, they just make a phone call and they would get what they need. If they had to make an example out of somebody, they made an example out of somebody. The mob back then was very powerful. You know, so these two men, Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull, sitting down, what do you think will be the outcome of this? As far as, I think they're both businessmen. I think Sammy's just as much a good businessman as Michael. And in that life, when you're legit, you don't have to kill people. You just make good deals. And I think Michael is very intelligent and educated as far as making money and with that life. I think he's very knowledgeable of the street life. He's definitely a gangster, racketeer, 100%. Not sure if he ever pulled the trigger, but if he didn't, good for him. He never had to. But you know, these two guys definitely have a lot of history behind them. I think at this part in their life, they're very successful, and I look up to both of them because where they are and how they became these famous YouTubers. So I give them both a lot of credit, and I'm gonna actually watch this sit down between them and enjoy it, you know, because it comes in once in a lifetime. So I'm gonna throw you guys in the chat. We could talk about this. You tell me what you think, who the better gangster is. You know, I know Sammy was a tough guy back in the day, and he made tons of money. He became the underboss of the Gambino Crime Family, and Michael also did his thing. He was always under the spotlight. He was like the yuppie Don. There was always the cameras on him. He was a handsome guy, and he made tons of money for the family and for himself. But both of these guys are very smart and intelligent. So, you know, I'm not sure which one you favor, but at the end, I'll let you know which one I think is the better gangster. So I'm going to drop a link and get everyone's opinion. Use come on. We chop it up, talk about these guys, and Irish Green, Anthony Santoro. All right, let's see if we could do this. Let's see how this goes. All right, well, I dropped the link. You want to come on? We could talk about the sit down between Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull. Let me know what you guys think. Let me get a call on here. We got the first one up.
Jimmy boy,
how's everything?
What's going on, my man?
Good. How's everything with you?
I'm doing well. Chilling with my kids, watching some football. We just ate some food.
Nice.
I wanted to jump in. I didn't get a chance to jump in last week. I was a little late to the party last week, but I just wanted to come in. And, I remember seeing something about this guy. Ouchie or something like that. He jumped in last shot. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Ouchie, whatever his name was.
Yes.
What was that guy calling all the followers rats and stuff like that? What was this guy's name?
You know what? Every so often, you're gonna get these people that are ignorant, and you know he's an ignorant person. He has the mentality of back in 1980. I'm saying we're in the 21st century. This guy's back in the 20th century. He's
still living life. He has out of it.
But what game are you watching?
I'm watching the Chargers and the Jaguar.
What's the score?
10-0 Chargers. Chargers are up 10-0 right now.
So what do you think? So what do you think about the sit down between Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull?
You know something, Timmy? I'm wondering if is it scripted? Do you think there's any type of script they're following, or was it more so? You know, they just take it on their mind, and you know, they're just down to that face value. I don't know.
You know what? I don't think it's scripted.
No,
I don't think it's scripted.
I don't know. I like David. I good interviewer. I haven't actually watched it, so I can't speak on it. You know, if I think it's, you know, I don't know. I think I'm going to order it, but I just wanted to kind of get some feedback from you, the chat.
Well, the little bit you know about both of them, or the lot you know about both of them. What do you think about them? As far as
you know what, I think I'm a big fan of both. You actually put me on to Michael Franzese. I mean, I know you know what he used to do. He was a big money maker. You know, Sammy's kind of he was more gritty and the breeds involved in the murders and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely going to be entertaining. But like I said, I want to get some info from the chat or you, or to see if it was, you know, worth the $40. I mean, it's $40, but you know, is it going to be worth it on an episode? You know.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've seen all Sammy stuff. I thought, you know, I just started following Michael Franzese, but I've watched all of Sammy, you know, our podcast, and I think you know, very entertaining. You know, I'm a big fan of all of you.
You got an echo coming from you.
Do I? Yeah. Give me the second. I think my mic.
I can't hear you now.
That sound better?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now, Jimmy?
Yes.
Somebody's playing All a Dream.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to jump in and say hello. I know our boy, what's his name? Alphonse. I know he's probably right behind me, isn't he?
Well, I got Don Berlin next up.
Don Berlin.
Yeah, this guy. He's pretty cool. He became a friend of mine, and he's very knowledgeable with law and stuff like that. Wise man.
Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to come in and say hello, Jimmy. I didn't get it last week. So I'll let you get back to the next guy, and I hope you have a good Sunday with your family and your kids.
You too, and listen, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
You as well, Jimmy. I'll be back next week. I'll keep watching, though. Thanks, brother.
All right, thank you. See you soon.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Hey, how you doing,
how are
Jimmy?
you? How's everything?
Not bad. I'm like you working, unfortunately.
But you know what? Listen, I have to call you. I know we've been corresponding through email. I'm gonna definitely give you a call. I'm working tomorrow, and maybe Tuesday if I have the day off. I do want to sit. I do want to have a conversation with you because you're very knowledgeable, and I know I know you're looking to help me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And whenever you have a chance. During the day, it's a little bit tough for me. I'm inside of at this Marine Corps base, but so I don't have access to phones. But anytime in the evening is good.
Okay.
Yeah, so call me then. And but anyway, so on the topic today, so on Mafia States of America, let me give you my opinion.
Go ahead.
And you and I are a little bit biased because both of us belong to the inner circle. Both of us know. I mean, you know Sammy. I know Mike a lot better. So, so take this with kind of like a grain of salt, okay? So I would look at this from two perspectives. First off, you have to look at it from a technical production, okay, from a technical production, and then secondly from a content perspective. From a content perspective, if you're looking to learn more about both individuals, if you're looking to understand them better, appreciate like where they were coming from, you learn a lot through this program. Okay. For example, what I mean by that is with Sammy, he's kind of presenting how he views La Cosa Nostra and its history, its legacy, and that kind of thing. Okay. And then whereas Michael is basically coming at it from the perspective of where he came into it, why he came into it, and then where he went afterwards, where he is today. He was kind of like a reluctant warrior, really. He comes into the Mafia primarily because he was trying to figure out a way to get his father out of jail. And then his life evolves inside, and he uses his business acumen, and he becomes, as you say, he becomes a racketeer. Okay, Sammy not so much. Sammy is much more into the traditions of the organization, and firmly and passionately argues for that. Okay, so that's kind of like what you have to look at this production from the perspective of what are you able to learn about them, about the organization, and what have you. From the perspective of a production, a technical piece of production, forget it. The person who comes out worse in this is, in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, is Patrick. He put a lot of money into this production, okay? And it shows that he tried to make it a major production with Chaz Palminteri and what have you. But as a technical piece of production work, terrible. And what do I mean by that? when you see it, you're going to see these two haunting figures, these kind of like goon-like figures hovering in the background that have no purpose. Why? Why are they there? They almost look like mummies. They never move. Okay? They just sort of stand around. And then when you look at the wide shots, you know, it's almost like they're pasted into the back shot. You know, the camera angles are all off. Patrick's hands and his paper float in and out of the picture. You know, these are all things which tend to annoy the viewer. And you lose sight of what you're really there for, which is to be entertained or to learn about Sammy or learn about Michael, whatever. And yet you have these things going on from a production perspective that just turns it upside down. I don't know why, you know, with his kind of expertise, why they had so many editing problems with that piece of work. But look, if you will, look at where Patrick's hands are floating around the table. Look at these two innocuous guys that are kind of like in the background. You don't know what they're doing, you know, why they're there even. You know, I guess they're trying to be portrayed as, quote, security people. You know, so why would you have security people with these two guys? It's not that kind of production, whatever. It's difficult to sit and watch 10 hours around a table. You know, there's no cut-ins or backgrounds or what have you. So, you know, primarily, I would say, like, I would give it if you were to grade it from a 0 to 10, you know, and on the scale of if you want to learn something about Mike, learn something about Sammy, and so on and so forth, it'd probably be about an 8. If you're looking at it from a piece of entertaining production, about maybe a 3. Given how talented Patrick is, I don't know why he did it the way he did it. It makes no sense to me. But so that's my critique. But again, I'm biased. You and I, we're in the inner circle, so we see, you know, through Michael's channel, the private channel, a lot of things that are going on and what have you, about him and what he's been going through and what have you. So it gives us, and you have a personal relationship with Sammy, so you know you have your own kind of like view of things and what have you. But that's
yeah. But I appreciate your input.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know what you're talking about, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, that's just one person's view. I'm sure everybody else is wrong. It just kind of surprises me because, as I say, Patrick is not a dumb individual, you know. And you know, one of the things the viewers have to remember is, you know, you were talking about before, was it rehearsed? I don't think it was rehearsed. That I don't believe. Yeah. I don't think it was rehearsed. First off, you can't rehearse Sammy. You know, he's not that kind of guy. Michael, different story, but Sammy, he's not a rehearsed kind of guy. The second thing, and which is not well known, is the fact that neither person got paid any money for this at all.
That's something?
No.
That's something, ain't it?
Yeah. Well, you got to understand the rationale. Okay. The rationale was that Value Entertainment or Patrick's production company is a mega company. Excuse me, that could really help the YouTube channel. Okay. So it's a driving force. It drives people, you know, to your channel if you participate in that kind of interview. So it's kind of like watershed advertising, you know. By participating in that, Sammy could drive a lot of numbers into his channel, and also Michael and what have you. So that's kind of like what their remuneration is the exposure. Because that will be, there's no question that's going to be huge numbers. That show is attract huge amounts of numbers. And in the YouTube analytics world, that is really what matters. You know, is how it drives up the numbers or whatever. So that's why Patrick, excuse me, that's why Sammy and Mike got into it, because they're just hoping to drive numbers up on their YouTube channels, and it will do that.
Yeah, and they're gonna, it's gonna go into the millions.
Yeah. Although, it's a little bit, I mean, if you know a little bit about YouTube analytics and what have you, it's not just how many viewers you have. It's a very complex formula and algorithm that they use, but it's not just how many users, how many subs you have. It's how often those subs return to your channel, okay? How loyal they are to your channel. So like you've got roughly 20,000, but you've got a very, very high loyalty rate. In other words, when you post, people come back. So percentage wise, if you've got 20,000 and 19,000 come back, YouTube really wants your kind of channel. If you're like Mike, he's got 760,000 subs, but if only 50,000 come back, that doesn't really help him much, because his loyalty isn't that high. So yeah, he has a lot of subs, but do they all come back every single time he comes up? Answer is no, they don't. So and if you notice, I'll shut up here, but if you notice, like in the last, say, 90 days, with Mike's numbers, they're flat. They haven't really gone up. They've been at around 680 to 720 for the last 90 days. They're not growing that much, because he's probably close to top ending, for growth wise. Not so with Sammy. Sammy's really going up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's very interesting to know all about that,
Yeah, no, it is. Well, the whole value proposition behind YouTube is, this gets very esoteric, but it's the analytics. That's their big thing, the data analytics. They can predict the behavior of every one of your subs based upon their clicks through your channel and other channels and whatever. That's how they throw back to the user, to the sub, other similar programs that they might like, because it's all based on artificial intelligence.
Wow.
Programs or whatever.
Very interesting.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Yeah, it's good to study all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, it is, I mean, in real life, however, predictive analytics, behavioral analytics, artificial intelligence, all that kinds of stuff. I mean, how that helps anybody, I'm not sure, but it does from a marketing perspective. So more to the point about, so what's going on with your life this week anyway? What have you been up to?
My life is, well, this morning I went to go pick up a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And I drove it home. I put the lights on it. And the kids, decorated it. So they're upstairs decorating the Christmas tree. Yeah. And I'm down here doing a little show, for a little while. And that's it. And tomorrow's back to work,
Yeah.
I'm working tomorrow night. And, Christmas, I love Christmas.
Right.
Christmas time is so special because not only because Christ is born, but, you get to spend time with your family, and you make a nice memory with the people you love. And I love to do that, because, as you know, throughout the course of time, you look back. Unfortunately for me, my mom and dad passed away. So, these are special times where I look back and I think about my parents, and the times I shared when I was a kid and all the nice times. So, you know what? The memories, they can never take back from me. And I have them and I always think about them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's very, very important. And, I've always called you, Calandra, the comeback kid, and that's your deal.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's important because it goes back to YouTube. So what is your tagline? What is your branding? What makes you unique such that people come to you, and enjoy, your program and what have you. I like the thing you say your tagline of God first, you know, that's a good, that really says it all. I always say God first, God, excuse me, God till the end, you know, and, it's a good line. And, I think about, like your life and what have you, where you came from. And it reminds me of the saying I was told a long time ago. There's a long story behind it. I won't bore you with it. But the saying basically goes that there, there is a difference between religion and spirituality. And religion is for those people who believe in a hell. And spirituality is for those persons who've been there and have come back and have come back and have come back. And, as I listen to your programs, what have you, you're a very spiritual guy because you've been down in hell and have come back.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And thank God, all the darkness that I walked through.
Yeah.
I always had God watching over me.
Yeah.
And, since I was a kid, and look, I'm growing in life. As I get older, I'm growing. I'm trying to get more wiser,
Yeah.
And I look back. My mom, I went to catechism when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was baptized, and my mom always tried to push God on me.
Yeah.
So, once my father and mother separated, my father went to Manhattan. My mother would have these Bible studies, and I would sit down with other people in the neighborhood, and a little basket would go around. People would throw fives in there and tens or dollar bills just to give to the house, and
Right.
And she would talk about the Word of God.
Right.
And at the end there'll be cold cuts and some good food and stuff like that.
Right.
I remember her speaking in tongues, and she always told me God first.
Right.
And my mother really probably loved God more than she loved me, but she loved me. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. She loved me,
Yeah.
but she was she was one of those God-loving persons,
Mm-hmm.
that always spoke about the Word. And
Yeah.
we grew up Catholic, and then she became a born-again Christian.
Right.
But then once I realized I was a greater force than her, who's going to stop me? Now
Yeah.
what I'm doing is I'm hanging out in the, on the corner in the candy store, in and out of social clubs, getting to know these older guys, and I want to be like them, because that's what the neighborhood is. You become a product of your environment.
Right.
And but thank God I made the right decision in my life, because I was speaking to a friend of mine's mother yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I really never get to speak to my friend's parents. She's actually anyway, she's my friend's mother. And
Yeah.
I asked her, I said, what do you think about this YouTube, this drama, these characters and stuff like that? Because
Yeah.
you got a lot of creeps on here.
Yeah.
And you got some good people that are trying to send a good message, and trying to grow their channel and stuff like that.
Right.
And but she said, Jimmy, she said, you know what? All this stuff about, these people glorifying John Gotti because he died in jail with a handcuff on him. This is her words. This is her exact words. And they're glorifying he was a man, he was a gangster. Jimmy, you know what? You're the smart one, because you walked away from that life.
Right.
And she said, Michael Franzese, Sammy, yous are the smart ones, because you walked away from that life.
Right.
You knew, what, it was over, so you saved yourself. Now you got 2 kids, you got a family, you know what I mean? You're doing good for yourself. And the thing is, in all honesty, I haven't got my life together until a couple years ago. My life is going on track,
Yeah.
I really found a beautiful woman in my life. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
She really, really gave me a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and she put me on the right track, and she made me think a lot different.
Yeah.
So, I'm blessed by God. I know I got my mother up there and my dad watching over me, And I just want to give back to people, because
Right.
I don't want to be remembered for the wrong thing in my life.
I don't think I don't think you will, because listen, when you hear your story, okay, about uh, the basic fabric and foundation of what your mother gave you, ultimately that's what you came back to, you know? In other words, when your mother instilled that into you, yeah, things went off the tracks for a long, long time into some very, very bad areas. Okay. But at the end of the day, those attributes that your mother gave you, you came back to. And it's probably what saved your life, you know? And while she's not with you, what is always with you is her spirit guiding you. And it has to be a miracle, because listen, Jimmy, with all that you've done in your life, okay, and all that you went through, you would have been and should have been dead 100 times 100 ago.
Absolutely.
And yet you're not.
And
you have to ask yourself, why is that?
And because listen, God was watching over me. And I'm gonna tell you, you know what? I used to do scores when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I would walk into my mother's apartment, and she would have a Bible study. And my friend Willie would be there, my friend Gerard, and we just finished doing a score. And the basket would be going around, and my friends be throwing a couple $100 in the basket. And my mother would look at them and say, "Where'd you get this money?" So I really felt like, you know what? As long as I'm putting money in that basket, look, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but something, God is not an ATM machine. You can't put a quarter in and get a miracle that comes back. It doesn't work that way.
No, absolutely.
And if God were a pay-to-play organization, well, we wouldn't have the problems in which we have. But at the end of the day, what's exciting about your comeback and what have you are the steps that you took. And that's kind of like if I were like looking at where your YouTube growth is, where your audience is, and what have you. At least from what I've read, the comments and so forth that I look at and what have you, there's a lot of people out there that want to know how you were able to turn it around. Why is it that in the last year or so, particularly in COVID, whatever, there's been this explosive desire to visit the mob genre. I mean, it's huge.
Yes.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. So why is that? I mean, I can give you some of the answers from a technical perspective of, YouTube and what have you, but it's too boring. But the bottom line is a lot of people are curious about, of course, the mob lifestyle itself. Okay. But I think even more people are looking at the issue of, my life also went to shit, and I'm trying to come back and do something different. And maybe this guy can give me some ideas on how I can do that. I think a lot of that has to do with it.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, if I could help somebody through my experience in my life,
right,
that's a beautiful thing, But I also want to say, I want to send a message while I have you on here.
Yeah.
At the age of 19, I went away for 3 months in Rikers Island. So I'm gonna go forward. Then at the age of 23, I got picked up for a bank robbery.
Right.
I ended up getting 57 months for that, with a 4 to 8 with the state that ran on top of that. So after the feds, I had to go to state. So the moral of the story I want to say is that when I went away at the age of 23 years old, how I look at it now, I didn't look at it then.
Right.
I look at it now because I'm a man. How I broke my mother's heart. I broke her heart, and that hurts me.
Yeah.
You know, so those are the things I think about. I mean, because I missed all that time with her. You know, thank God I got home. I got to spend some time with her, and then I ended up doing an 8-year bid with my cooperation. You know, I got 8 years for my cooperation. People think I didn't do no time for that. I got 8 years for cooperating.
Yeah.
You know, so and then I got to spend some time with her when I got out. Then, but all this time you miss, and I could have had a master's degree. With all the time I wasted. So hopefully through my message, someone will wake up and open up their eyes and say, you know what? Let me take a trade. Let me go to school. Let me take a sanitation test. And you know what? Do the right thing.
Well, let me just say this, Jim. The hardest thing that people can do in circumstances that you found yourself in is to forgive yourself. That's harder than getting others to forgive you. Everybody, I'm sure, the people who are reasonably well are willing to forgive. Okay. But the hardest thing to do is to forgive yourself for all that you did. And that's where reconciliation with yourself and who you are and what you become today is the most difficult. And it's a process. It takes time. It takes time.
And it's also about the people you keep in your circle.
Right.
Because it's very important. You keep successful people, good people in your circle. Eventually, you'll be successful too.
You definitely will.
And that's what I do.
God bless you, because my dad, I told you this before. My dad died at a very, very young age. I was a young kid, and he was only like 51. But he left me with a very good saying. I'll share with you now, and that is that he said, "Healthy people attract healthy people, and sick people attract sick people." So for a lot of these sick people out there, that haunt you and so on and so forth, ignore them. Surround yourself with healthy people, and you will attract healthy people. So that's my view on that.
Very, very true.
Yeah. So anyway, listen, I'm going to go because you got a lot of people lined up in the studio. I don't want to take up everybody else's time. I'll be around, this week and whatever. Call me at night. After I'm in the same time zone as you are.
Yeah, look, I'm definitely going to give you a call. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. Have a good Sunday.
Take care.
Stay safe.
Give your kids a hug. Tell them don't play with the Christmas lights too much.
My little one's funny. She's funny. But
all right.
I'll see you soon, and God first. Thank you.
Yeah. God bless you. Take care.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Don. That was Don Berlin. He's a really good guy, Don. And he's actually in the inner circle. Now, when he says the inner circle, I'll tell you, look. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking more about, God and spirituality and stuff like that. And, look, there's a beginning, there's an end, Hopefully we all get to live to be 100, but, there's definitely a new beginning once you die. So, look into that. Hopefully these are all, God-loving people too. But, that's what I want to do. I want to give my life to God. I want to do the right thing. I want to put good people in my circle. And I want to teach my kids about God too. I'm just changing as I get older. And I just want to be a better person and help people. So I got Alphonse over here. So let's see what Alphonse has to say. Now, Alphonse is a funny guy. He's a Sunday guy. He comes on every Sunday. He talks about the Lucchese crime family and stuff like that. But I guess he likes all this mafia stuff. So let's see what Alphonse has to say.
Hello, Mr. Calandra.
Alphonse, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How's everything?
Everything is well. Thank you for asking.
How's your TikTok channel doing?
That's doing very well, Mr. Calandra. It's got about 96,000 followers now.
Nice. Good job. How long you doing it?
Not too long now, but the last time we spoke, I told you, Mr. Calandra, if you ever need me to post anything for you that you would like for your channel to make it grow, it's always there for you, Mr. Calandra. It's a way that I could give back to you for your generosity of allowing me to come on here and ask you all of these questions and to be here. It's a privilege.
Well, if you could put a YouTube link on there to my channel, that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, you want a link to your channel? I can do that.
Yeah, if you could put my YouTube link on your channel, maybe that'd be cool.
Under bio, I can do that. And for the people that are out there that want to see it, it's called Mafia TikTok page. There's quite a few posts about the Lucchese family on there, Vic and Gas in particular, of course.
Okay.
I will be sure to do that after we finish this thing here. I'll go straight on and I'll put your channel name on.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. So what do you think about Sammy the Bull and Michael Franzese to sit down? What do you think about these two wise guys?
Firstly, to have something like this happen, I think we should all be grateful for it for starters. Because regardless of what we think about Gravano and Franzese, it is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You won't see something like this again. Two men, made men, sitting down and discussing La Cosa Nostra like this. It's an amazing thing, once-in-a-lifetime experience. That's my first thoughts on it. I think it's definitely worth paying £39 for it. Well, over here it's £39, yeah. I think it's worth it because it's a special thing, even though it's a bit pricey, some would say. But how many other times will you see Sammy the Bull sit down with Michael Franzese? These two can give you everything you want about the life. I think as well, you get the question all the time, Gangster and Racketeer. It's Franzese is more of a racketeer, but the reason I say Sammy is better than Michael is because he is a gangster and he's a racketeer. He's a capable guy and he's an earner. Michael made more money than Sammy, but at the end of the day, Sammy the Bull still made millions. Michael made a couple more million than him, but at the end of the day, a million is a million. And Sammy made that money, and also you could always count on Sammy the Bull to take care of something for you, whereas Michael Franzese, according to what we know, he hasn't pulled the trigger, and good for him. That's a good thing, that is, because you don't want that in your life. You don't really want that, but by mob standards, it's something that they all really want. But the reason I had to go for Sammy is because he's a proven earner. He makes millions just like Michael, but even though Michael makes a bit more, a million is a million, like I said. And Sammy's more capable than him. He's got 19 hits. He's a guy that with a click of your finger, you can call on him and he would take care of the job for you. It's a great thing. And I hope, Mr. Calandria, that you will be able to contact Patrick Bet-David and do an interview. Are you willing to do that? Mr. Calandria, I cannot hear you. You're on.
How about now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I would love to do an interview with Patrick David. I think he's awesome, and hopefully someday that'll happen.
You now know Michael and Sammy, right?
Well, I don't know Michael. Sammy, yes, I spent some time with Sammy, and I could legitimately say Sammy is definitely a gangster. You know, I stayed with him for a couple days. I woke up to him, and Sammy's a character.
Of course.
In a good way. But he's definitely a gangster, old school gangster. He thinks the old ways, and he made his bones, and you can't take nothing from him. Plus he did a lot of time in prison, and and he's a successful YouTuber. So I give these guys a lot of credit.
I
From being where they were and where they are now. They're actually inspiring people to become, a YouTuber and do something, with your story if you have a story behind you.
I think that, of course, you have a story that Mr. Bet David would certainly like to hear, and I think that you should contact Sammy to make some arrangements for that. But I used to have an Instagram page, ton of followers, unfortunately no longer here, and I used to always post about Sammy. He's great. His life stories, and it's one. No wonder his interviews got 13 million views on YouTube. He did time in ADX Florence as well. In the Supermax, he did that as well. You gotta give him credit for that.
Absolutely, and going into that prison, that's a hellhole. I mean, believe me, you're walking in there a man and walking out as a man. I mean, sometimes, people never walk out of there. But to spend time in there, believe me, that's a hellhole. To survive that and to still have your marbles up there, you know what? You're a strong person.
And Mr. Kalantra, I can hear an echo on my part, but when you muted yourself, I could hear there was no echo there.
How about now?
I can still hear an echo,
Let me try to fix it.
could I politely recommend that while you could mute yourself while your guest is speaking, and then when you want to say something, yeah, I can't hear something.
How about now?
Yes, that's much better, Mr. Calandria.
Better now?
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Sammy, definitely a gangster. And I'll tell you, Michael. If you look at Michael back in the day, Michael was like, he had the looks. His father was an underboss of the Colombo Crime Family. So Sonny Franzese taught him a lot as far as being a gangster. And he made tons of money.
no doubt, Mr. Francis, he made tons of money, but when compared to Sammy, he didn't make as much. Sammy didn't make as much as Francis, but Sammy still made more than enough, like more than you would need. And another thing about Michael is that, uh, did you know that he had a sit down with a gas pipe about the gas business? And from what I have read, Michael hasn't confirmed this yet, but he didn't walk away as the winner of that sit down. I think you may have met Christy Tick as well, but when you look at who Sammy and Michael in that life dealt with, you can see actual surveillance pictures of Vicar Musso and Gaspipe, Gotti, and Gravano at all at one restaurant. And then there's an individual picture with Sammy and Gaspipe, Sammy and Vicar Musso again. On a weekly basis, Sammy the Bull was dealing with the top guys. Michael, of course, he had his father, but I'm not. He dealt with Carmine Persico, some other top guys, but nowhere near as much as Sammy on that weekly basis. And another comparison would be, and I respect Mr. Francis a lot. I think Francis is great. I respect him, but when compared to Sammy, I don't think he's on the same level because Sammy didn't have any family members in the mob. He he made it from 0 to 100, whereas Francis had his father. Sonny's a legend in that life, an underboss backing him. And then when you look at Sammy, nobody backed him. He had to prove himself and he had to do the ultimate challenge. He had to make his bones. Whereas from what we know, from confirmed facts, like just as what we know, and Michael hasn't told us any different, and they made him. He didn't have to do the other challenges that the other people did. And no disrespect to him, but the waiting list to be made, there is no doubt in my mind, and I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say this to Michael, but his name was propped up on that list, and they put him over other guys because his father proposed him, the Underboss proposed him, Sonny Franzese proposed him. But when Sammy was proposed, he had to, he had to put the work in. He really had to put that work in. And in Sammy's book, 1997 bestseller, and I recommend everybody here that's here, definitely check out that book. You will see the work that Sammy put in compared to Michael.
Yeah, and you know what? I tell you, I agree with you on all that. Uh, Sammy was more into the nitty gritty, the street. He dealt with all the tough guys, and all these guys were basically street guys. And Michael definitely was groomed by his father, but I don't think Michael was hanging out with the street guys the way Sammy was. I mean, Sammy was more, into the rough and tumble and the nitty gritty stuff.
For sure, and no doubt, and it almost gives him more credibility when sitting down. But I think the main contributing factor, well, there's two of them. One is that Michael had Sonny backing him in his corner, whereas Sammy had nobody, and he had to prove it from 0 to 100. I mean, he had to earn his nickname like Sammy the Bull. He had to earn everything he did. And another thing is that, Michael, he's a racketeer. But like once again that I've said, we don't know if he's ever put the work in. He's never said it, and he cannot really say even if he has because he hasn't had like that cooperation agreement. But Sammy, he's a money maker, and he's somebody who, without a doubt, you could call upon to do a piece of work for you, and he would do it. I don't think,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
you're right. Back in the day, absolutely. And
it's all yes.
yeah, but absolutely, I agree with you 100% on that. So we're on the same page with that.
For Michael to be sitting down with Sammy, it's almost like a privilege for him to be sitting down with a man as big as Sammy was in his life, even though he had Sonny with him. That it's almost a bit different. That's his father, but I'm not saying that Michael Francis didn't deserve to be made because he really did. But when compared to Sammy, I don't think he can handle him. I don't think he's on his level. And if you look at the guys they dealt with, like, when he had to sit down, this is from what we know at the moment. Michael hasn't confirmed this, but when he sat down with Gaspipe, apparently the sit down didn't go too well for Michael. He couldn't go head to head with guys like Anthony Gaspipe Castle, whereas Sammy has a ton of stories about him. Sammy said about Gaspipe, they asked him, and he said, Gaspipe, I could write a book about Gaspipe. That's how high up Sammy was. Michael, he didn't have that. He just wasn't dealing with those same amount of guys.
Yeah, Michael was more money guy, and look, I got to give the guy credit. I mean, where he is today, as far as how he got out of the life and how he made a life for himself, and what he created as far as his ministry, how he believes in God. He's a family man, and the stories with the YouTube. I mean, I think this guy really is an intelligent guy, and I have to give him credit. And I love Sammy too. Sammy is, you know, definitely a guy who made his own bones, and he's been through hell and back. And look, I respect both of them very much.
Francis is extremely intelligent and he's an innovator. If you look at the YouTube scene, the first mobster to officially come on here was Michael Francis, but he was really smart in the way, knowing that with the amount of stories that he has, with just all that he has, he knew that he couldn't go in front of the camera and just put those stories out straight away. He wanted to do it in a way where he would get his own team that would benefit him in subscribers, as Michael was the first guy to come on here, part of the mob genre, and actually put down his own YouTube channel. And then we would see Sammy follow him, and now even seeing you here, and I'm sure you may have taken like inspiration from these two to start your own channel, seeing what they have done and what they have achieved. And I sincerely hope that Mr. Calandria, that you will get a channel, your channel will be just as big as those two, or if not even bigger, because it really does deserve to be.
Thank you, Alphonse. I appreciate your kind words. And I'll tell you, you're very knowledgeable with this stuff. So good
Thank
for
you.
you. You know, you must have did a lot of studying with the mob, and I appreciate you coming on.
Um, I just yeah, I for a couple of years always been just studying this stuff about the mob. Very interesting. And like I said, whether you don't like Michael or not, and same for Sammy, whether you don't like him or not, for the guys, because I know there are a couple of guys out there who don't like either of them. If you're a fan of the mob genre, it's definitely something to check out because you'll never see something like this again.
Yeah, I
And
will. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out the sit down for sure.
and a question for you, Mr. Calandria. I don't think I've asked this one before. Oh, and firstly, you wanted us to come on here and talk about the sit down. Are we allowed to ask other questions relating to other people on this show for today?
Sure, go ahead. Let's do it quick. This way we can get someone else a turn too.
Um, where did Michael DeSantis grow up specifically? Like you grew up on Bath Avenue. I know he's a Brooklyn guy, but where did he grow up specifically?
Michael grew up in Gravesend.
Gravesend.
Yeah, it's
And
right next to Bensonhurst.
um and as he grew older, where else did he start like hanging around? Like where was his shop and all? The collision shop, was it? Something.
Michael's collision shop was on McDonald Avenue.
So he was in Gravesend and McDonald Avenue around those areas.
Yes.
Was his brother associated with the life?
No.
All right.
Yeah, he comes from a good family. His mom and dad were good people. His brother was a legitimate guy. Uh, he went away many years ago. I think it was Greenhaven. He did a small bid down there, state bid. I'm sure he met somebody. This is how he got into the life. And you know, as he was a kid in the neighborhood, he made a name for himself, just like any other wise guy.
Is there ever a time, Mr. Calandria, now looking back on your life, do you ever like miss the life knowing that, you know, Maddie Madonna, you were extremely close to him, former acting boss from 2009 up until 2017, and now Mikey DeSantis, 2017 up until the present day. Did you ever, like during that time period, you know, look at Matty Madonna being the acting boss and now Mikey and think, you know, if I was in that life, you know, you could have been a captain, and do you ever like miss that, like knowing that you could have possibly had something big?
Well, you know what? Sometimes I do look back and I say to myself, I say, you know what? If I was still in that life, you know, of course, I would have definitely moved up the ladder, but I also would have went away for 50 years. You know, I would have capped out to 50 years. So I'd be sitting in prison. I would have never have my children, and you know, but you know, after you do your bid, after you do your 30 something years, your 40 years, you come home, and I look at it like this. You know what? I respect these guys. They're doing their time, but you're gonna come home and you walk in a bar and people are gonna say, you know what, give him a drink. He just did 35 years, you know. So eventually, look, this life is over. You know, you could believe in it as much as you want, but it's over. It's a dead end. You know, because even when you come home, you're still gonna socialize with criminals. You're gonna be on supervised release and you got to meet somebody sometime. And sometimes the people you meet, who knows, they might be wearing a wire on you. You might get back into the street game and, you know, you go back to prison. So, you know, it's really not worth it. The best thing is to go straight in life. But yes, I do look back and I say, you know what? I know I could have been something in the mob, but thank God I have children and, you know, you can't turn the clock back. So you got to just go forward, you know, but I'm happy where I'm at today. And I made the right decision. Thank God.
And another question, you did time with Frankie Lastarino, and that's a, you know, it's a very big guy in that life. You'll know him very well. When you were on the street and so was he at the same time, did you ever hear about him on the street? Like any stories? And what was his reputation like, Lastarino?
Well, that was back in the day when I was younger.
Oh, yes,
Frank
of course.
Frankie was always a respected guy. He was always known to be a tough guy, and people respected him. But basically that's it. But he always had respect, Frankie Lestarino. He was a killer, and he's very smart, and he was in that life all his life too. So
Lesterino had something to do with the gas scams, and so did Francis. I wonder if they ever, like bumped into each other during that time. And also, when you were in prison with the Lesterino, guys really respected him, but in around 1994 or something, I don't know what year it was specifically, but Vic put him on the shelf, and still to this day, Amuso, he doesn't like him at all. Was there anything in prison that you like heard of Frankie's reputation going bad or anything like that?
Frankie Lestarino, he was more of a gas pipe guy,
Oh yeah.
that's why Vic probably put him on the shelf. And in all honesty, he did him a favor. I mean, go on the shelf because the guys in the street are still going to respect you. I mean, this guy must have been involved in about 10 murders.
And he
You
was
know,
involved in a
I mean, I
lot.
mean, I mean he was a serious guy. Frankie Lestarino. He was a very well respected, but a guy like this, he's always going to get respect. And you know what? He's 80 something years old. I mean, when you're that old, you know what? Look, you're sitting down. You're playing cards, or you're watching football games, whatever you're doing. I mean, there's not. I mean, when you get that old, what are you gonna do? There ain't no more, hanging out in social clubs or, committing crimes. Those days are over. Especially after you do 20 years in prison. You just want to stay out of jail.
I do think that the life is, it's definitely not what it used to be. It's lost out on a lot of money. The money is not the same. But, Georgie Zappola, he was actually supposed to be the acting boss of the Lucchese's, but he turned it down because he was still on parole at the time. And he said he would take it later, but he decided to let DeSantis keep the official position because he went out to Jersey and he was a captain. Now, as we speak, Zappola is a captain in Jersey and he's taking care of the Jersey faction. But you see these guys here, like Zappola and DeSantis, 2020 on top spots, even Della Russo, a top spot. Their life is over, but what do you think keeps them coming back to it? Especially knowing that these guys, they've done more than enough and they've done like around 18 years in prison.
Well, you know, Georgie Sapola, I think he could definitely be the acting captain of the family, 100%. I think he could run the family. And, who knows with these guys, as we know, the feds are watching everything, and we don't know what's going to happen. But you know what? One day, who knows? He might be the acting captain, because, people say there's indictments coming down and stuff like that, so who knows?
But to still be in the life in this day and age for them, I always wonder, what would bring them back to such thing? It's too much risk for those guys.
Oh, you know what? It's a lot of money, and some people, like the life. They just like it. After doing 20 something years, and then you're coming home, it's like you're a movie star. People respect you. Wow, look at this guy. He just finished doing 22 years. So they get respect, and people from the outside world, that knows nothing about the underworld, they're they love this mob stuff. They love these people. So and they have a lot of rich people around them.
Oh, for sure, I know.
So they love the mafia. People love the mafia.
And when you were on the street, what was Georgie Zappola's reputation like on the street when people would speak of him? What would they say about George Zappola?
George Zappola was he was a captain. He had a reputation. He was a killer, George Zappola. He was very dangerous. He was one of Gas Pipe's guys, but he had a reputation out there.
And you said you had a bunch of letters with Zappola. Could you please one day show us those letters, because I would be interested to see like what Mr. Zappolo was saying and all, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. Yep. I could look into those letters. I might have a couple of them saved, you know, but definitely, you know, I'll go through them and I'll definitely share them for sure.
It's a great story that you have knowing all these people. You know, it's very interesting. These guys are.
Yeah, these guys are very interesting because you know what? They really you know, they did a lot of time. There's a lot of history behind them, and at that time, the Lucchese family was very they were very strong with gas pipe. A lot of people were getting killed. A lot of people were getting made. You know, and they had a lot of characters in that family. You know, and you know where they are now after they did that time. So yeah, it's very interesting. But listen, let me put someone else on. Let me give someone else a chance to get on here.
Thank you, Mr. Calandria, for your time. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it very much. And thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate that very much.
Okay, Alphonse, it was nice talking to you. And like I said, drop the link on TikTok for my YouTube.
Of course, Mr. Calandria, thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for having me
You
on.
too. I'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So yeah, that was Alphonse. Alphonse is a character. He likes to talk about the Lucchese family. He's probably writing a book or something. I'm not sure. But I'm going to drop a link. Whoever wants to come up next. I hope my moderators out there are doing something. I see a couple trolls making comments. If you can, knock them out, okay? Let me talk to PJM Justice. Yo.
What up?
What's up, player?
Oh, you know, just hanging out, man, watching the show. I'm really dying. I'm trying to figure out, like, where the fuck is Alfonso?
He's in England.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't believe it, man. I don't believe it. I'm convinced, man. He's in a cave smoking a hookah.
How's everything?
Everything's good, brother. Everything's good. So
what do you think? Hey, so what do you think about Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull sit down? What do you think? Who's the bigger gangster?
Oh, Sammy, for sure. Sammy. I mean, listen, to me it doesn't look fake. It looks real.
No, I think it's very real.
Yeah, I don't know why people say that, you know. And then I mean, even Pat, you know, squeezing everybody for $40, that's even real, you know. So yeah, I think Sammy, I think it kills Sammy not to be like a gangster still, you know.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think you know, Sammy might have you know, I guess he fights it, you know, he fights it for the fact of, you know, I know it probably bothers him. He had to come forward. You know, I can't talk for him, but you know, for him, he loved that life at one time, you know.
Yeah, man. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think about it?
Well, look, I spent 5 days with Sammy. You know, I woke up to him 5 days. Sammy's a legitimate gangster, and you know, he would wake up, we would drink coffee, he would be smoking his cigarette, he would have his head shaved, and the first day when I slept over his house, you know, we had coffee and we were talking. And
Gangster sleepover. That's so funny.
I said, look. I slept over his house and I woke up and Sammy's drinking coffee. He says, you want a cup of coffee? So he makes me a cup of coffee. And I'm looking at him. I'm saying, wow, this guy's really a gangster. You know, he reminded me of Herbie Sperling, you know, a short guy. And, you know, and then we started talking about gangster talk, you know, about the Paul Castro.
Damn, you should have recorded that shit.
Well, you know what? He actually said it too. He said we should have the videos on now. But he's schooling me. He's telling me about the Paul Castellano hit. So I asked him a question. I said, when you killed Paul Castellano, Tommy Bellatti's there. You killed Tommy Bellotti too. Now, Tommy Bellotti was a tough guy out of Staten Island. And he had a brother, Joe, that was a wise guy too. And he was in Staten Island. So I said, Sammy, I said, how do you tell his brother, Joe, that you killed Tommy Bellotti? Like,
seriously.
God forbid someone hurt someone I love. It's on.
Yeah, really.
And he explained the story, and he said, he told me, him and Frankie the Chico went to go sit down with Joe Bellotti, and they meet in a diner, and Frankie and Sammy tell Joe Bellotti, we're here to save you. Tommy had to go, and we know you have 9 grandchildren. We know you have 9 grandchildren. You got family, and any money that you have in the street is yours, and whatever belongs to the family goes to the family, meaning the Gambino family. And Joe basically said, Frankie the Chico is a gentleman but a tough guy, and also Sammy, and they know that you couldn't beat them. So the guy Joe Bellotti just says, thank you, Sammy, thank you, Frankie. But it's really crazy, but
deep,
the stories he told me, I tell you, and I had a lot of fun with him. We had so many laughs. He really is a character. He'll make you laugh. He loves to laugh and tell jokes. But Sammy's definitely a gangster, And look, I respect Michael Franzese too. I love what he did with his life, as far as being, what he was. He was a Caporegime at one time in the Colombo Crime Family, and now he has his own ministry, and he's a family man. And what he did to his life, he's also a businessman, and he's very smart, educated, and I really do. I respect both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do. I don't see how you cannot respect either one of them, really. But yeah, I bet that was really something, man, to be there with Sammy, man, for 5 days.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Absolutely, man. I'm sure you got people waiting, man. I just wanted to check in, say what's up.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll talk.
All right, brother.
All right, see you soon. All right, guys. So I drop a link if you want to come in. Hit the link. Check it out. So yeah, Alphonse is a character. I'll tell you, he's very polite. I like him. Everything with him is the Lucchese crime family. I don't know what he's doing. He's definitely up to something. Who knows? He's writing a book, telling stories. Not sure. But I dropped a link if you want to come on the show. So far, I'm an hour, 15 minutes. I'm going to do 2 hours. Then I'm out of here. I'm going to go upstairs, have some meatballs, macaroni, and get ready for tomorrow. So, yeah, let me know what you think about Michael and Sammy to sit down. All right, I got Big Lou on here.
Hey.
Paul Pierre, hang out, chill out, okay?
What's happening, Jimmy?
What's up, Big Lou?
Man, Alphonse was killing me, man. He wouldn't stop.
Yeah, Alphonse is a character.
Yeah.
He loves to talk about the Lucchese crime family. I think he's obsessed with the Lucchese crime family. He's probably writing a book or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's start off with this. Since he brought up Frank Lastarino, so what I heard in stories and what I read is that he was part of a plot to kill Bobby Amuso. And Vic didn't like that. Obviously, that's his brother, so he put him on the shelf. And there were some other reasons too, but that was one of the big reasons that he was put on the shelf.
Well, those Lucchese guys, I'll tell you, those guys were all Mad Hatters. They were all killing each other. I mean, look, they shot up Pete Chiato.
Yeah.
Then after that, they shot Pete Chiato's uncle. They killed the uncle. Then they shot the sister. You know, I mean, you know what?
Crazy.
Look, they were all mad hatters, and none of them obeyed the rules.
None of them.
You know, none of them. And that's the thing. Look, to that life, you have to have rules. Once you start disobeying the rules, then you know what? There ain't no more life.
Right. And that's what was going on a lot. But about this,
and also like with the gangs and stuff, you know what? You know, there's a code to, you know, there's rules to the game. You know, even when you're a brother, whether you're wearing a patch, whether you're taking an oath, whether you're a gang member, you also know you got to stay away from people's girlfriends and wives. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people break these rules.
Daughters too. Daughters,
exactly.
sometimes daughters.
You know.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say was that sit down. Look, and I'm gonna keep it real. Sammy's a gangster. We know that. He still portrays to be a gangster now. He's still got gangster in him. He's still a gangster to a certain degree, right? But I think that even though he cooperated, I believe that he's deep down inside, he's not okay with it, what he did. You know, now I get it. I get that. You know what I mean? You've been a certain way so long, you're at the top of your game, you know, as far as where you're at in the hierarchy of the family, you know, but I honestly believe he's not okay with it all the way. And he's trying to, you know, he keeps telling Michael that he cooperated. I mean, which he did to a certain degree too, but, you know, testifying, giving up information, but that was after he took that 10-year deal. You can look it up. You know what I mean? Another thing's, you know, how can anybody say that Michael didn't do nobody could say that. You know, if you weren't the one that made the call to have him do it, or you did it with him, you can't make that call. You know what I mean? And people keep, you know, they say, well, man, he probably jumped in line in front of other people to get his button. That might be true. But then again, you got to look at it. He was in the Colombos. The Colombos is a small family, half the size of the Gambinos, right?
And the thing is, you know what? His father was Sonny Franzese. And, you know, if your father is Sonny Franzese and he wants to straighten you out, he's got the power to do that. I mean, all
the Colombos made their sons, all of them.
Yeah.
Not even just the bosses, all from South. Joe Profaci made his son Sal. Joe Colombo made his son Anthony and Joseph. Persico had brothers, his sons, and he had a bunch of nephews and a bunch of cousins that were made. And Andy Rush Musso, that's his cousin. He has sons that are made. The Alloy father, what is it, Sebastian, his sons. It just goes on and on with the Colombos. You know what I mean?
And I'll tell you, in '93, when I got pinched, I was away with the Russos. I was away with Chucky Russo.
There you go, Jojo Russo.
And I was away with Jojo Russo.
Yeah, and their dad is Ralph Scott. Or no, Russo. Yeah, excuse me.
Chucky Russo was, and they both smoked. They both love to smoke. Cigarette after cigarette, both of them. Chucky Russo was really cool. Jojo Russo, I mean, he seemed like he was a little feminine the way he used to talk and stuff. But, you know, he was, you know, what he was. I think he was an underboss at the time, you know, when he got pinched. But, you know, those guys, they were really both, you know, nice guys at the time when I was spending time with them in Otisville. But, you know, I when I went away, all the Colombo guys got picked up and all the Lucchese guys got picked up and a couple Gambino guys.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, so what? All those guys, because their fathers, you know, had them proposed or had them made, they're all weenies too. They're not capable of pulling the trigger. You know, we don't know. Michael might have just drove somebody. They whacked somebody out. You know, he came and drove him off. He might have set the guy up to go into the room. Sammy didn't whack all those guys. Sammy has what, maybe 2 murders with his own hands, 2 or 3 maybe. So, you know, it's just all, you know, that life's about money. Good old, right?
Of course, absolutely.
That's what it's about. So if you show that you can bring money, that's what they care more about than you going to kill somebody, because they got plenty of guys that go do that. You know, not everybody's a killer in that life. Not everybody, you know, I mean, you know, so it's just Sammy's point that he's trying to put across. He's trying to make Michael less than, and he's weak, and go with that, Sammy. You know what I mean? You know, he's just trying to make him, honestly, he's just trying to make him look like he's you know, that he ratted somebody out too, and that he cooperated and gave up information. You know, he just wants him to, I don't know, it just, you know, is he a gangster? Yeah. course, Michael more on the racketeer side. You're right. Michael wasn't hanging out on the corners with guys like the Rampers and all that, and the Rockaway Boys. He did his thing, school, but if you listen to some of them interviews, some of those people said Michael was a leader of the neighborhood as kids. You know what I mean? He already had that image already, and that, he carried himself that way. He was a leader already, So, I mean,
well, you know what? I'm very impressed of what Michael have done with his life today. I mean, he was a Caporegime. He did some time, and he gave his life to God. And he's a class act. He's a family man. He's a businessman, and he's changing other people's lives. So you know what? Look, I always say it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. And this guy is a great example, of redemption and helping others, because that's what he does. He's helping others, with his ministry.
Yeah.
So I have big respect for him, and I also have respect for Sammy, because I do.
And then another thing I'm going to say, people might not like it. I don't believe Sammy was built to do time. Now, he did time eventually, but he had no choice. He had nothing he can give up to get himself out of that. Some people ain't built to do time, man. I've seen people that do some crazy shit, man. And as soon as they get the cuffs on, they're telling, and like I said, and then another thing, his story is John portrayed me and he tried to throw me under the bus. And now that, okay, that could be true from what he says. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but then he ended up telling, testifying on many, many guys afterwards. Now, he said before that he wasn't going to roll on his crew, Huck and all them guys, right? And I don't believe he did. So, I'm pretty, they wanted Gotti bad. So I'm pretty sure if he would have told him, hey, I'm not, this is all I'm doing, I don't know. I mean, I can't say for sure, that's the government we're dealing with here. I don't know if they would have honored that or not, but, fact is he told on, I believe he testified on Chin too. And he put a bunch of guys away, now that.
Well, Sammy, Sammy was the underboss of the Gambino crime family. Right. In all honesty, Sammy, when he came forward, he opened up the gate doors for everybody to come forward. You know what I mean? People looked at Sammy and they went like this. They said, wow, Sammy got 5 years for 19 murders. You know what? Then other guys said, I'm going to cooperate too. If Sammy could flip, I could flip too. So Sammy opened up the gate doors, as far as coming forward. And, he did testify against a lot of people because he had the status of dealing with all these people.
Yeah, well, yeah, because Chin's using he's faking that he's apostle, right? Crazy and all that. Well, of course, Sammy Underboss, of course, he's going to sit down with Benny Eggs and Vincent the Chin Gigani, right? So I get that. I get it. You know what I mean? I get it, because you're not going to tell the government, whoa, this is all I want to do, and I don't give a shit, because it's probably not going to work that way, especially like you said, the status he had. Another thing, Alphonse said, he said about sitting down, and it goes with the same thing like you were saying, because the position he had, that's why he had to be in these meetings, plus Gas Pipe was from Brooklyn, he was from Brooklyn. I'm pretty sure they knew each other coming up, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then Sammy told a story yesterday that John Gotti couldn't get nothing done with him, that they didn't respect him, Musso and Gas Pipe, and that Sammy was always Gotti was always telling Sammy, hey, get with your friends, man, we got to get this done. So that's why Sammy was put in that position, because he was a Brooklyn guy, within the Gambinos. I'm saying at first he was a Brooklyn guy. He Gotti was a Manhattan guy or Queens guy, excuse me. So he bridged that gap between the Brooklyn faction of the family. But yeah, I don't know if Michael felt like it's an honor to sit down with Sammy at this point. I don't see what the honor would be.
But the guys originally grew up in East New York, Brooklyn, then eventually they moved to Queens.
Yeah. But Gotti didn't have no personal relationship with these guys as youngsters, though. Sammy did with Gas Pipe. Musso's a little older, so I think Musso's like 82, 83, I believe now, and Gas Pipe was about 10 years younger than him.
Yeah, and back in the day, a lot of the big shot mobster guys came out of Brooklyn.
Yeah. That's where the Colombos, most of the Colombos are from there too, right?
Yes.
Brooklyn, yeah. So
yep.
I don't know. I'm not gonna pay for that thing though. I watched the clips they showed. I'm not gonna pay for it. I just don't see no need to. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I could change on that. Don't quote me on that, but I could change in the paying for it. I don't know. We'll see. You know what I mean?
But you know what? I'm sure they're gonna do millions. I'm sure millions of people are gonna watch that.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. People were getting upset because he told us first it was going to be aired on YouTube. You know, and then after I guess after they checked the budget and what they spent, you know, I guess there was no other way for them to do it, because you got to keep in mind Patrick Bet David's a business guy, right? Go 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 go. And the Raiders are losing, man. 7-3, and it's been a horrible game, but they just got about a 30-yard pass right now. So, you know, he's a businessman, so he's gonna, you know, he's got to pay people too. You know, I guess nonstop they had like a couple dozen people working on that at all times, you know. So he's gonna, you know, he's gonna pay these guys, you know. He's got to pay these guys, so he's got to generate the money from it. So, you know, I mean, it's up to you. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If you do buy it, you know, I don't. As of right now, I'm not gonna buy it. But that, like I said, that could change. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
it was cool. I mean, yeah.
I don't know what their budget was.
I heard. I think he said it was. You know what? I don't know. I don't want to misquote something. I heard something, but I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly.
I don't know. I think they said something like $500,000 or something.
Yeah. See, there you go. Yeah. So, you know.
And Sammy and Michael didn't get no money out of that.
That's what they're saying, but
yeah, they didn't get no money. The only money they got was to
accommodations.
Get to the destination, as far as maybe a hotel room and board. You know,
maybe they didn't have nothing, you know, on contract other than like a certain number. Maybe they got something where they'll work out afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah,
you would think they would get some money out of that, because, you know, that's some good money right there. You know, so I don't know, man. It was a remarkable thing. You know, never been done. Obviously, Underboss and the captain come together and discuss things. You know that, I don't know if you ever heard this. Did you ever? I heard John Jr., not Gotti, but Franzese, say that his dad told him that he was made at 14 years old. So that would have put 1931, which was when all the I don't know how to say the word right, Castellamare War was going on.
Who's that? York? Sonny Franzese?
Yeah, he's born in 1917. So 14 years old, he would put him in 1931. And that's when they start bringing, around that time, they start bringing Italians in, because a lot of the Sicilian faces were known, you know what I mean? And it was wartime. So, you know, they were killing each other. Mazzaria and Marzanos, you know, and some other people also. But yeah, they said he got made at 14 years old.
Yeah, Sonny Franzese is a legend. I mean, the people he must have been around in his lifetime, I mean, you can't take that from him. This guy was, you know, 100-something years old when he passed away.
Yeah,
you know?
103.
And unfortunately, he spent like over 30-something years in prison, right?
Yeah, I think it's more like, yeah, it's like 40, 38, 40, maybe even a little bit more. And, but, you know, a lot of people don't realize is Persico done that much time. Persico did 12 years before he even caught the 139-year sentence from the commission, and the other case that they ran bow-legged. So Persico passed away, a couple years ago, and he was down since 86, 87?
I think this year he passed away.
Was it this year?
Yeah, he passed away this year.
Yeah, but, okay. So I got him confused with Scarfo. Yeah.
Look at a guy like Al Capone. Back then, Al Capone got 10 years for tax evasion. They sent him to Alcatraz. Now, back then, when you got 10 years, you were like this, wow, you got 10 years. We're never going to see him again. Now, today they hit you with 50. You know, it's like, you know, lights out. 10 years back then was a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So he did, well, Sonny got 50 years, but I think he actually did 9 or something like that on that 50 originally, because it was the old law where you didn't have to do all the time, you know, however it worked out. And then, but he kept violating. So every time he went back for violating on that 50-year sentence. You know what I mean? And all the way up until he was 90 when he caught that other one, that last one he caught. So the guy kept his mouth, you know, he didn't speak on nothing. Even when they did that little interview with him, that Newsday, they did that Newsday on him, he still wouldn't talk. Like, he would say just certain things, like maybe make him gambling in the army, and he came out and bought businesses. He was in the music business. He knew Sinatra, but he wouldn't say, like, anytime they would touch any words that were like from that life or mafiosi type words, like omerta or anything like that, he played dumb. You know what I mean? So, like, the guy was a legend, and you know, who knows, man? If he didn't catch that time, who knows where he would have been at? You know, he probably
absolutely.
I don't know, because that family, that Persico family, as you can see to this day, Andrew Russo's his cousin. They're not letting go of the power of that family. You know, they want to hold that power and be the, you know. And then Teddy, you had Teddy Persico, the nephew. He just got out doing like 10 years, and I think before that he did about 18. And now he's busted in this last indictment again. You know what I mean?
Up again.
Yeah, and so they don't want to give up the reins of that family. You know, and Gotti was, I think John Gotti was going down that same road when he, put John Jr. and then Peter, and I don't think he, obviously he didn't expect that they were going to go down and get life and all that other stuff. As far as Peter, John Jr., he's doing his thing now. He's, John Jr. That's another thing. John Jr. got made obviously because his dad, and they didn't want to give up the power too. But John Jr. is not no sissy, man. John Jr. can, I'm pretty sure John Jr. can bash some heads in. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, look, John Jr. I never met John Jr. Mikey Mikey DeLeonardo was very friendly with him. I think John Jr. baptized his son, Michael Jr. But I think John Jr., I tell you, I see him talk. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's really smart. I don't know as far as a tough guy. I don't know what he did. I really never looked into his history. But I think he's a very smart guy,
I think he's smart. I know he made that move when a couple little things he did, but he was young at the time. You figure this guy got put on in 1988, and by 1990 he was a captain, right? And then a couple years after that, he's acting boss, right? Street boss, however you want to say it. So he didn't really get a lot of time to learn the life, as a soldier. He got put in top tier positions, quick.
And when I say he's smart, I think he's a smart guy, but he's also smart. He's smart enough to leave this life.
Yeah.
He was smart enough to say, you know what, I had enough. I'm out of this life, because he knew eventually, it was a dead end. There's only one way: you're dying in prison or you're dying in the street.
Well, look, he beat five trials.
Yes.
One of them was a death penalty. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That John A. Liar testified in.
Absolutely.
So
and you know what? Even to go to trial, and look what Joe Messina did. Joe Messina went to trial, and he blew trial, and then he cooperated.
Yeah.
So the thing is, look. Like, I look at John Jr. and I don't know. Look, if he would have blew trial, I don't know if he would have cooperated. I'm saying, I know they would have took him because of his name, God.
Right.
But you know what? He did go to trial 4 times. He beat them. I'm not gonna knock him, but look, he's smart because he left that life. Because if he would have stayed in that life, he knows eventually he would have went back to jail, because that's the only thing that life is going to give you is prison time.
Yeah.
Eventually, that's it.
It's been proven. It's been proven.
There ain't no friends in that life. It's all bullshit. Today's friend in that life is tomorrow's enemy.
Yeah, it's been proven time and time again. That's all it ends up. Either you're going to get killed, right?
Exactly.
Or you're going to end up in the joint for a long time.
And then, eventually seeing what happened to his dad, John Sr., as far as dying in prison. And your family have to endure all that pain, because when you go to prison and you're making phone calls and you need things, whether you're sending somebody a book, whether you're sending somebody money for food, and you have to go visit them, and you're behind the glass and your heart breaks because that someone you love is now locked up and he can't be home with you. So I understand, the pain that people go through. But there's nothing good about that life whatsoever. I don't care what anybody says. There's nothing good about that life.
Do you believe, because I'm not sure when do you believe that John Jr. walked away, or do you believe that his dad shelved him before he passed?
No, I believe that he didn't want anything to do with this life no more. I believe that John Jr. made a comment when he was on 2020. He said to himself, he said, you know what? How much could my father have loved me for my father to put me into this life? And that made a lot of sense when he said that. I said, why? I said, you know what? That is very smart. He said that, and I know John Senior loved him. I mean, he tried to put him in the right direction because John Senior loved this life, the mob. I'm saying he grew up in it. He wanted to, let his son live a good life too. But the thing is, it wasn't the same mob no more. And the thing is, after a while, your father goes to jail. You have monsters out there that are going to try to take your position and take you out.
Because they believe that because they believe he shouldn't be there.
Yeah. There's no treachery in that life. There is no honor. That's all bullshit. People say there's honor. There's no honor. It's all fucking fake bullshit.
Yeah.
And there ain't no trust.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got one friend in that life, you have many because there ain't no friends in that life. It's all about money. It's all about elevating yourself. And when they tap you on the shoulder and they go, you know what? So-and-so has to go. You got to kill your best friend. Because they want you loyal to them.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, they don't want you loyal to no one else. They only want you loyal to them.
They know you can get close to that person without any red flags coming up. And usually it's your best friend, your family member, your brother-in-law, something like that. And you're called, your number gets called, and that happens over here too with what's going on over this way. It is what it is. Like you said, that's a good point you made because Nicky Carrazzo was John Gotti and them. They didn't get along for a lot of their years, as young men and all that, and then he felt, a lot of those guys feel that John Jr. shouldn't be there and let alone be made, let alone be in that position, and they, like you said, once your dad's gone, they're going to be coming for you, like you said, there's no honor. There's no loyalty. That stuff's all out the window. You know what I mean?
Yep. But look, I got that. Look,
I'm gonna tap out too because I gotta go.
Hey, I'm sending you that package this week. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you over the phone.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing me on.
I'll see you soon.
Salute to everybody out there.
I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, buddy.
All right. Next, I have Paul Pierre. Paul Pierre is an actor. He was in the Bronx Tale. He's a pretty much of a character, I tell you. He was on Fat Boss's singing show. I mean, he seems like he's a really cool guy. So let's see what he has to say.
Jimmy, how are you?
Paul, how's everything?
Oh, good. Happy Sunday. Hope you're having a good. Jimmy, I hate to correct you. And I apologize. I mean, with all respect, my last name's Perry.
Perry, there you go.
It's I'm not from France.
Okay. Paul Perry.
First off, I think I've said this to you in messages, but I got a lot of respect for you. The fact that where you came from and where you are today, I hold you at high regard.
You know what? Look, I appreciate the kind words, and that that's very kind to you, and I appreciate that, man. But where were you from?
I'm in the Bronx, but I grew up in Pelham Parkway, but I hung out on Arthur by 187th and Beaumont in the 90s.
Okay.
All the way to I want to say 2001, 2002, maybe. So,
okay.
I saw a lot of stupidity.
Yeah. I mean, that was a tough neighborhood too over there.
It got to a point where how do I put it? We saw a lot of stuff. I told FBS one thing that I saw once in late 90s of a guy just instantly, he must have knew the guy, and there was a handshake. It was like one of those things. You see a guy across the street, they kind of catch your eye, and this guy got gut shot 3 times quick. Everybody took off, and we knew what it was about, but I didn't want to stick around.
Yeah.
And, life was short. And people thought that was good. That was cool stuff. I was, at the time, a lot of people, I think the young generation, their minds were caught up because that was it, the easy way, the hard way. The hard way is you got to go to work every day. Easy way is the quick money.
Yeah. Arthur Avenue has an Italian neighborhood over there. I'm not sure how many block radius it is, but you have some good bakeries out there, some good pastry shops. You have a couple Italian restaurants, and the old wise guys over there, they're still wearing the long collars, But I'll tell you what, they say the guys in the Bronx, they never flip, and I'll tell you, they're strong out there in the Bronx.
I mean, I'll tell you this much. I got this one thing I told Chris, I don't throw names out there. I don't name drop, but I'll tell you this much. On that note, yeah, you're right, because there's some tough dudes. Like, one thing I learned at least, was street politics. So if you're gonna have a problem with somebody, you better find out who they're related to, because if you mess around with the wrong person, it's gonna come back to you 10 times harder. And I've seen it happen before.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, it's something you bring that up, because that was a very important thing when we were growing up, that if you were going to do something to somebody, always double check who the person is, you know? And I mean, a prime example is, look at Louis Tuzio when he killed Gus Faraci. The kid Joey Scafani's in the car. You know, he's related to Joe Butch. His father's a wise guy. He's basically a wise guy. And, you know, you shoot him too. You know what? It costs you your life.
And you know what? You see, you're absolutely right. You bring up a good point, stuff like that. And then there used to be like guys messing around with girls, and then it turns out their fathers or somebody's, and that used to hit the fan quick. There was this one girl I grew up with, and my girlfriend at the time, my high school sweetheart, was one of our closest friends. You know, my friends would be like, "Oh, what's going on with her? Can you introduce me?" I used to tell them, "Listen, off the market, stay the hell away from her. Don't even look at her the wrong way, because she goes and tells her dad, you're not going to have balls."
No, you're right. But so what do you think about the Sammy and Michael Franzese sit down? Did you watch it?
I watched clips of it. How do I put it? I like Michael Franzese on the side that, you know, where he came from, where he is now. Sammy's an interesting guy, because I mean, Sammy's a tough dude. He's a tough guy, man. So it's kind of hard, because you're going from the business aspect of organized crime to the, you know, nitty gritty, rough, you know, knife and gun aspect. So everybody, I think they both got different dynamics. I think if you put the two of them together, you'd have like a powerhouse. But, you know, it's a weird way of putting this. It's interesting, but at the same time, how can you glorify that? Because it's made on people's miseries. You know what I'm talking about. You look back at your family, you got to sacrifice your personal life for people that you can't even trust, but you're supposed to trust. And then in the end, you get screwed.
Yep, exactly. You think that these people are friends, and eventually later on down the line, you understand that, you know what, it's not what you think it is, you know. But you know, that's the same thing what happened to my friend Paulie. You know, it's like, okay, someone's ringing your bell, your friends are ringing your bell. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Hey, can I have a glass of water? You go get them with something to drink, and you know what? Your own friends are killing you. So, you know, that's what that life is about. It's a sad life. It's a dead end. And, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, definitely Sammy is definitely more rough and tumble. And Sammy made tons of money. You know, Sammy back in the day, he was definitely a gangster. He made his bones. And I'll tell you, he really is something else, you know. And these two guys are both building a legacy, Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull. I respect both of them. I love what they're both doing. I think Sammy the Bull has the best podcast out there. I really do. And Michael Franzese, I love the person that he is, how he built the ministry, how he believes in God. He's trying to fix other people's lives. He's a family man. He's classy. And I just really I respect both of them very much.
And I want to tell you something right now. I put you in this group of guys that you've been around the block, you've done stuff, you've been in that life, you did your time, you came back. Now you're focusing on your family. But more importantly, when you come out here and you talk about, like, my heart goes out to you about your boy Paulie G. You know what happened. I'm sorry to hear that. You know, I know time has passed, but wounds don't heal. And I lost friends over all kinds of stuff. But besides that, I put you in that group of where you're educating this group that's out there now, these young guys, young kids, that they're very reckless, because I could see it from where I grow up. There's a whole new generation out there. Anybody could say whatever they want. There's a whole new generation out there, and they don't care. They don't give a fuck about anything. Yep. Excuse my language.
And how old are you?
I'm gonna be 40 in a few months.
Okay, I'm 52. So when I was coming up, when you opened your mouth, you had to back it up. You know, it's either you caught a beating and you gave a beating, and sometimes, you know what, you become friends after you shake hands, and if not, you become enemies forever. But this generation today, I mean, it's pretty insane because, they don't have no respect for nobody. I mean, we grew up, we had to respect people. If not, you got slapped, and you got corrected right away. And they taught you to respect people. Even, say, for example, if your mother was carrying groceries down the street, we run up to her. Let me get those groceries, and you help her to the door with them. You don't have kids like this no more. They don't know anything about respect. All they want to do is disrespect everybody.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And what's crazy is that they don't even respect themselves. So how could you expect them to respect anybody else in this world? They have no family dynamic. I see the way people are. I got guys my age where I joke around. I tell them, man, the worst person to have a kid would be you. I got this one friend of mine. He's a good guy, but has no business raising a kid. And I've told him that. Thank God he stays with the mother. He's a psychopath. Wow. I mean, I love him as a friend, but that's about it.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have children?
No, we don't. I met my wife at a late part in my life. I'll be honest with you, Jimmy, I wasn't planning on getting married. I was kind of a loose guy, partying. I had DJed for a long time. And I live a life of very low profile. I like to stay just low profile. Well, I kind of met my wife by chance.
Okay.
And she's probably the only woman that could tolerate me because, there's a lot that goes, as you said, I am a character. There's a lot that goes with me. And as I said to Chris, my wife doesn't realize, I tell her all the time, you bought a broken toy, honey. I said, you may think it was new and on sale, but it was broken long before you picked me up. But she's an angel. She's a good person. She's from Brooklyn. She's from Brighton.
Oh, nice. That's great. You meet somebody good in your life that could lift you up and that's there for you. You know what? You're a lucky person because a lot of people are lonely. And they don't have nobody. So if you got someone special, God bless you. But the thing is, you know what? So in the future, do you think you're ever gonna act again?
I knew you were gonna ask me, so I was prepared. I was thinking about it. Okay, so I'll lay it on to you short because I don't want to waste your time. No. I'll tell you why. No. I like my life low profile. I don't like to be out there. It's enough for me to be on here right now talking to you, which was kind of groundbreaking with Chris. Originally, I didn't even want to be on an interview, but then he kind of spoke to me and I was like, all right, I'm comfortable. I'll do this. I'll see what's up. And it was interesting, but it's not for me. A lot of people don't realize is that you kind of lose a lot of your personal life to do that. And as a kid, I saw that. And it kind of clicked with me when I was about 17, where I said to myself, do I really want to do this? I want to alienate my life. And then you're around a lot of fake people. I got a close friend of mine, Joe Perino. He's an amazing actor. He's been in the Sopranos, all kinds of stuff. He's great. He's from Arthur Avenue. And him and I are still very close. We grew up together in diapers. We're good friends. But he says to me, he says, he's got to he's okay with that life. Me personally, I'm not. He's got to watch what he says. He has to be very kind of strategic with the way he kind of opens himself up into certain people. I like to speak my mind. I'm a big mouth, so.
And Hollywood don't like that. They don't like it. Yeah, they don't like you speaking your mind. Well, you know what? Look, I did some a little extra work. I was on the set of The Irishman for 2 days. I was in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, season 3, episode 3. So if you ever watch that, see if you could catch me. I'm in there, quick scene. But listen, I worked with what's his face, James Franco, for a minute on his show in Manhattan. What's that called?
His show. He's got like a live show.
He's got an HBO show.
Oh, the Deuce.
The Deuce. I was on the Deuce set, and I was sitting right next to him. I was talking to him, but I didn't get into no scene or anything. But it's something where I always wanted to be an actor growing up. When I was a kid, I went for a couple of headshots, and then I fell to the street. But look at Joey Zane. He's from my neighborhood. Look at Leah Remini, how big she became. I used to see her every so often, hang out with her sometimes. Go swimming in the pool in South Shore Hampton apartments in Brooklyn. But they became very big, and but it's something I always wanted to do. And my brother John, he went to Lee Strasberg Acting School, and he always wanted to be an actor too.
That's awesome.
You know, but it was pretty cool when I went to the Irishman set. I got to shake Al Pacino's hand, and I told him, I said, Al, you know what? I love you, and I wanted to be professional on the set. And Martin Scorsese was right next to me. Like, I wanted to grab him and say, yo, Marty, let me get a photo with you, you know? But, I mean, you know, on the set, you can't do that.
It was different in A Bronx Tale because there was a lot of shenanigans going on. There was a lot of in the beginning. I was very like, you know, you're starstruck, but my parents were like, listen, don't embarrass us. Like, you know, you act professional. You attend, but act like professional. So I did, but then there was a lot of ball busting going on. Easily you got comfortable because we get these old guys from neighborhoods. But it was a little different. Actually, funny story about Marty Scorsese. His mother was at the Bronx Tale premiere. She gave my mother a chicken cutlet recipe.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's like a little nonna. You want to give her a hug.
And she played Tommy DeSimone's mother at the table, right?
Yes.
When he takes the knife, he says, what do you need this knife for? Right? And then she goes to Henry, what is it with you, Henry? You don't talk, you don't say anything, you know? But I tell you, those are great scenes. And Marty Scorsese, you know what? Look, this guy is a great director, you know? I mean, there's only one guy I like better than him, and that's Francis Ford.
Wow.
You know, I love Francis Ford. I would love to someday, you know, work with that guy. It's probably never going to happen. But, you know, if a Bath Avenue story or Gangsters in Training ever can't come alive as far as a script and, you know, something happens, I definitely maybe, you know, you come on, maybe you play a character. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we'll have a little fun with it. I'm saying little hoodlums, you know what I mean? And, you know, that's what I would love. I would love to make the next great gangster film about young kids coming up, you know, doing some work for the family, getting used, abused, and eventually killing their best friend. And all of our lives are destroyed at the end. Whether you stand up, whether you cooperate, you know, nothing good came out of this life.
And you know what? I think, Jimmy, that's a story that people need to hear because they watch some movies, and not to knock what's out there, but in reality, it doesn't all go good at the end. It all goes to shit.
Exactly. It all goes to shit. And you know what? Even if you look at, even when they killed Paul Castellano, okay, they killed Paul Castellano December 1985. Okay, they get indicted 91. Okay, so what does it last? 5 years? I mean, that life, 5 years, maybe 10 years. Eventually, you go into prison. You're destroying your life.
You're not going to get old in it. Those days are gone. As my grandfather used to tell me, he was from Harlem. He was from 116th, and he used to tell me, because as I was getting a little older, he picked up on things. He was very smart. And he'd say to me, he says, listen, you're a smart kid. You know, I understand you know, the street smarts. I'm all about it, but don't fuck around. He says, because he goes, you got no future in that. He goes, the only people who are going to suffer are your family when you're gone. And he was right. He was right. But I was wanted to mention to you, I got two friends that I'm not going to throw out there, but I got two friends that I can't even talk to anymore. Their families, whatever, and they're in that side of the road. One of them, we hung out for like 17 years. This is a close friend of mine growing up. And he's just like, I don't want to involve you. He goes, I don't want to hang out with you. He goes, you're a nice guy. You got a good family. He goes, you know, it's sad that we can't hang out. And I tell him, I love you. I worry about you. Call me if you need anything. But, you know, you wish them the best. But I know where they're going and just getting ready for another funeral, really, at this point.
Yep, exactly. Yep. But, yeah, you know, look, I know you reached out to me, you know, come on again, you know, and I appreciate you coming on, having you. And, you know, look, Merry Christmas to you and your family. And look, you have a lot of charisma to you, you know, and I can see you're a people person. You know, you're very personal. And I like that about you. You know, that's a talent.
You know what it is? I'll be honest with you. As you could see, Jimmy, I see the same in you. When you hang out and you know what's going on and you hang out, you know, you run your mouth. The guys who talk the most don't do shit. Well, you observe, you know what's going on. You know when to speak and when to shut the fuck up. Excuse my language, but that's the way I was raised. So, you know, in good company, you know what to say and what not to say. That's the way it should be.
No,
Thank you. And and I'm going to tell you, Bon Natale to you and your family. Merry Christmas.
Hey,
I've talked to you before.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And look, I appreciate the kind words. And look, you're invited on this show anytime you want, okay? And like I said, if anything ever takes off with the Bath Avenue story, we're going to get you a part in there. And, we're going to make a masterpiece,
Jimmy, for
I got some actors already that are in mind of who I would use for certain people, but I'm hoping someday it happens. All I need is a right director on there and a good writer, and I'd love to make that happen.
Yeah, and I hope you get that ability too, because I think you got a great personal story to tell from the heart. And you know what, for you, I would definitely do that in a heartbeat, because I like your story. I really do.
Yeah, and there's a lot of characters to play, and you will play a good character. And also, you know what? What do you think about the Saints of Newark, the film?
You want me to be brutally honest?
I want you to be honest in a nice way.
I enjoyed The Sopranos. I loved it growing up. I love watching it. That being said, I was looking forward to them talking about Vicky Moltisanti, because they throw breadcrumbs in the series. I wasn't too happy with the way the movie. I think they tried to push too much into one, and it was all over the place between Tony Soprano's, little teenage year hijinks. It was just too much at once. It was like I felt like I had ADHD at the end of the day watching it. No disrespect to anybody with that, but I got anxiety. I was anxious watching it. I was like, what the hell is going on over here? Too much.
I think they really ruined it. I think what they could have done with the characters, as far as younger characters, they really could have made a great film and a continuation, into a next segment of a movie. But I think they destroyed the storyline with this black and white shit, and but I think it was terrible.
I mean, yeah, the riots played a part, but do you have to force things? When you have to force things, I think it loses the experience. I'm not saying, look, that it should be, some crazy, that has to only be Italians, but don't force things down the audience's throat. Let it flow. It should come natural. When it's forced, it's not enjoyable. And I got friends all walks of life in the Bronx that said the same thing. They're like, what the hell am I watching?
Yep.
No, that's my take.
But listen, hey, it was nice talking to you. I appreciate you coming on. And listen, one day we'll get together too, okay?
I would Jimmy, love it. I'll take care of you on Arthur Avenue. Go to Enzo's.
And I have your number too.
You do?
I think you sent it to me.
I'll send it again just in case. I got to make sure. I don't know. I'm shot half the time.
Well, look, I'll definitely be in touch.
Likewise. Jimmy, take care. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Send my love to everybody. Thank you.
Likewise.
Bye, Paul. Well, look, I'll definitely be in touch.
Likewise. Jimmy, take care. Have a good evening. Thank you.
What's up, buddy?
Jimmy!
Hey.
What's up, pal?
Am I, do you have... What's up, buddy? A speaker on or something?
Hold on, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. How are you, pal?
How's everything? Eddie G, where you from?
I'm from Bayonne.
Okay. Yeah,
you know where Bayonne is, right?
Yes. Jersey.
Okay. Couple things. Let's talk about Mikey. Let's talk about... Oh, by the way, let me interrupt that one. I also have a SAG card. I was on Boardwalk Empire.
Nice.
I did a couple of independent films. Struggled. I have a couple of rabbis from Brooklyn who were in the acting industry. They did Entourage and, not a household name, but real players. And actually, my face is a little puffed up.
Okay.
I'm getting all dental implants put in.
Okay.
What you do for the cause, Yes. But I'm looking forward to that. So, Michael Franzese and Sammy.
Yes.
It's interesting when I heard them talking. What came across clearly is that Michael Franzese knew he was safe. You know what I'm saying? So when you're in an atmosphere with somebody, whether it's a sit down or you're just trying to straighten the beef out, if the other guy knows he's safe and there's no repercussions, he gets a little chesty. Okay. Sammy doesn't have that filter. Once he sniffed the guy was hiding behind a lie, He did it politely, politically, and in so many words, he tried to say, "You never killed nobody, pal." Because, truth be told, if you ask Sonny Franzese, "Hey, Sonny, did you kill somebody?" "Absolutely not. Never. I would never do something like that." That's his response.
Yeah.
Not, "Well, I don't have cooperation agreement. I don't have immunity, and So once you hear someone hem and hawing, like Michael is educated, grant that, but Sammy's got his master's degree in the streets.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
So he can sniff that bullshit a mile away.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing to a certain degree. Now, during that argument, you can see how Sammy took the gloves off and said, "Bro, don't come at me from this angle. You should pray for me. I don't need your sympathy." But a lot of times, and I'll share my own experience, when you have someone who's polished with their words, who's a wordsmith, who may have read or listened to books that me or you haven't listened to, they use that just like a slick lawyer in trying to set up an argument and do that. And what I say is, like, when you hear the truth, you can't mistake it. It just sounds and feels different, you know? That's my take on it. I think Patrick Bet David is just, listen, he's a mob fan. And he mentioned your name on his podcast once while Sammy was on there. You probably saw it. I'm not sure.
I did. I seen it.
Okay. Has he reached out to you by any chance? And I don't want to say anything
No, he didn't reach out to me. Maybe someday he'll reach out to me. But yeah, he never reached out to me. I think Michael David, I tell you, I think he's a businessman.
Mhm.
When he goes into something, he's looking at it as profitable.
Sure.
I think he's very smart, educated, and I like him. I would love to do an interview with him, of course.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean,
Yeah.
Jim, here's the one thing I heard Sammy talk about, and it scared me a little bit. I heard this guy, Nick Pileggi's name dropped.
Yes.
We all know who he is, obviously. Yes. I had spent some time around the business, so to speak, and this guy, Larry Mazza, has been trying to pitch his story to Nicholas Pileggi forever.
Yes.
Forever. Now, I know I didn't grow up in your neighborhood, but I know many people who did. And I'm not going to mention their names because I know you know them. Okay? But I'll email you and let you know.
Okay.
They all say, number one, Larry Mazza was not part of the original Wimpy Boys crew.
Well, everyone knows that. There's paperwork on that. And he was not part of the Wimpy Boys. A lot of people could tell you that. And, there's law enforcement can tell you that. Anyone who was watching them at the time could tell you that, he wasn't part of the Wimpy Boys because he didn't get picked up when the Wimpy Boys got picked up,
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the thing that I heard from another second story is that he was literally Greg's coffee boy.
Well, you know what?
In the beginning, he was Linda's lookout for Larry, and then he said he got made in a parking lot somewhere with 3 people. Really?
Well, you know what? This is the thing. You know what?
Pull the covers off of him.
Look. The thing is, I really don't even want to even talk about this guy. Okay, but you know what? I agree with you because in my neighborhood, I knew all the wise guys. I knew who was straightened out, and when they got straightened out that day, 10 minutes later in the street, you knew they were made.
Everybody knew.
Later, okay, because if they're not telling you, the little crew that they have, they're telling everybody, yo, I tell everybody I'm made now. I'm saying it don't come from him, but it comes from everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay, so and so just got straightened out. So I don't look.
And I'm not trying to knock the guy. It's just that I come from the school of everyone's gonna brag and exaggerate. We know that. But to come out and out just makes things up so that you can profit. And and please this is not being mean to nobody, but you have a group of people or a genre of younger people who don't know the difference. So when they hear something,
that you're right about that. So what they do is everybody wants to be a hitman. Okay. no, right away, Joey Calco is a hitman. Okay, right away, Johnny A. Light is a hitman. Right away, Larry Meza is a hitman. Everybody wants to be a hitman. I'm saying, I guess that's what sells, being a hitman. You know, me, I don't want to be a hitman. I'm looking for redemption. I want to tell my story. You know what? This is who I was. I was a young kid growing up, looking up to these guys. I fucked up my life. I committed a couple of scores. I was involved in a couple of murders. You know what? I was just a young kid going in the wrong direction. And you know what? Thank God I had a light bulb in my head. I said, you know what? I'm fucking done with this life. I come from a good family with a good support system. I'm very blessed in life to be where I am today, you know, and that all behind me. But, you know, but these guys, they do make up a lot of bullshit stories, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, look, even with the kid A-Light, I mean, I just saw a video with John Jr. I don't know, someone put it on my page in one of the comments, and I said, what the hell is this? And I was looking at it. And John Jr. is coming out with this Woodsack Mafia thing, you know, and he's talking about Johnny.
He's got 302s.
Yeah, he's talking. Well, yeah, he's got 302s, but you know, I really don't have anything against John Jr. You know, I mean, he basically just he stays to himself. He's not into this shit. You know, I mean, I think the guy.
He's well spoken too, by the way. I listened to his interview, and
I tell you, I think he's very educated.
Yeah,
maybe I'm. You know, I don't know, but I think he's educated. The way he talks, he's very educated.
He's well spoken.
You know, but the thing is, look, John A. Liar, what he wanted to do was he wanted to be Sammy the Bull on John Gotti Jr.'s case. That's what he really wanted. I'm saying he wanted to get the recognition.
Very good, Jimmy. Very good.
I'm you know, I did this, I did that. And in these videos, John Jr. says, you know what? John A. He's talking about he did 15 murders there. He did 30 murders over here. At my trial, he was involved in 1 or 2 murders. I mean, so how can someone talk about this? I'm saying, me personally, look, I was involved in a couple murders, but look, I never killed nobody. I have no problem.
Thank God.
Wait, I have no problem saying that, okay? I shot some kid one time. He hit me with a baseball bat. I shot him 3 times, okay? The kid lived, okay? I was defending myself. But these people want to be hitmen. You know, I want to be remembered for the right thing in my life, not the wrong thing. So I'm at a position in my life right now. I'm growing, and I want to help people do the right thing. Look at my life. Of course, at the age of 19, I did a 3-month bid in Rikers Island. Then at 23, I went away for 57 months with the feds, and I had a 4 to 8 that go on top with the state. And you know what? I broke my mother's heart, and I can't turn back the clock to fix my life, but I could only try to make it better. And you know what? By me coming forward, even with this woman that passed away, you know what? That was the only way of making it right, was by me coming forward and saying, you know what, this is what took place and this is what I was involved in. So I feel good about coming forward. So I don't care about what other people think.
Amen. You know, you talk about your story, and everybody who watches that National Geographic part thing that you did, that documentary, they remember you. People I talk to, when you had the 2 pistols like that.
Yeah.
You seemed authentic, and they're like, oh, who's this kid? So yeah, you guys were famous, but you put the Bath Avenue crew on the map as far as
100%, because you know what? I created this story and I wanted everyone to know about it. I lost my friend John Polio. He was murdered in 1988. My friend Georgie Adamo, 1990. The kid Chestnut, he was murdered. Paulie Galino was murdered, and my friend Michael Marola was murdered. So you know what? All these kids murdered in the neighborhood, and there's so many murders back then that was happening. You know, you had these wise guys that were killing people that were 18 years old just to put a body underneath their belt. I mean, you know what? You could have gave this kid a chance. You didn't have to kill him, break his leg. You know, but these are the guys that were in the neighborhood. And, you know, don't get me wrong. You had a couple good guys in the neighborhood, but the majority of the neighborhood was bad guys.
It was all, to me, from my perspective, it seems like it's just all ego. and it's ego personified. But your story and your crew reminds me of the movie Once Upon a Time in America. And I remember watching that movie with my father. It was like a long movie, Noodles and all the characters. That's how I picture, because that's how we were growing up. Roof hopping and doing crazy, stupid shit that I would never dream of doing today.
It's one of my, I'll tell you, it's one of my favorite movies. Once Upon a Time.
Oh, no shit, yeah. Okay.
Do you know that it took them 10 years to make that movie, put that movie together?
No shit.
It took them 10 years to put that movie together.
Now, that was about the Jewish mob back then, right?
The Jewish mob dealing with the Italian mob.
Okay.
And also, another favorite movie of mine is a movie called Thief with James Caan.
That's about Gas Pipe.
No.
According to Gas Pipe's book, he said the burn bar was used with the Hole in the Wall gang.
That's called Thermalance.
Okay, there you go. My fucking boy knows.
Yeah, that's called Thermalance.
Okay,
that goes through steel and everything.
No shit.
They did have the gang that was robbing the banks: Gas Pipe, Carmine Sessa, Sally Fusco, Mikey Bloom, and
Bobby Amuso.
Yes, and you know what? This is something where I might do some research on and start talking about that.
You know, you are, and you don't realize it. People say, when did you learn the most in school? And most people's answers are in elementary school. The basics, A, B, C, and D. Our memories back then are like sponges, and we soak everything up: personalities, traits, inflections in the voices, and we can pick up on who's important, and that without knowing detail. So when you grow up in that garden, you know who's who. You don't have to be breaking bread with them or playing pinochle with them, but you were.
Absolutely.
You were in the social clubs as a young kid.
Yep.
So yeah, you went to jail for 9 years, but you were there from Sandbox.
Yep.
So you were definitely gonna be hooked in there. There's no two ways about it. Thank God the good Lord stepped in. Circumstances made you willing to open up your eyes, and God interrupted your death, my friend Jimmy.
Oh, absolutely. Look, absolutely. And you know what? Look, I could have been dead in the street.
As me too.
I could have been dead in the street. Thank God, you know what? I caught a move and I survived it. And I could have been rotting away in prison. But you know what? Right now, I got two beautiful kids in my life. These kids changed my life. They make me happy every day, these kids.
That's awesome, bro.
I wake up. I dress my little one. I put their lunches together. I spend time with them. They say some funny things to me. And I get a kick out of them, you know, and I just love being a dad.
It's natural, right? It just comes. You don't have to practice. You don't have to try. It's just natural when you are.
Yes, you know? Absolutely.
So I really hope that this whole Bath Avenue Beach story. Oh, I have one question for you. I'm sorry, folks, if I'm taking too long.
No, go ahead.
Here's my curiosity question: the relationship between Nino Gaggi and John Gotti, because Nino is a Paul faction guy.
Yes.
Now, Nino dies in '88 in prison from a heart attack. His wife, Rose, has that big foundation for him now.
Yes.
What was the scuttlebutt in the hood about that? And like, you know, what were they saying? Like, oh, shit, like fall in line or else?
Well, you know what? Nino Gaggi was a prominent figure in my neighborhood. He was well known. You know, his sons Michael and Anthony would hang out.
Optometrist, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with the eyeglasses. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Alphonse told me.
Yes, absolutely. And Alphonse knows a lot.
I know he does.
He really does. But you know, they're very bright kids, and he put his kids through school and stuff like that. But you know, I think Nino's captain at that time was Paul Castellano, before Paul Castellano was the boss.
Amen.
You know, and but look, Nino, you ain't gonna see guys like that. When that guy showed up in a club, like you never seen him, but when he came to maybe Spiro's club or the Chico's club, he came in to straighten out something that he didn't like, and all he do is have a couple words, and you know what? He walked out, and it was straightened out. You know? I mean, that's the power he had, really.
Was that because of Roy, you think, a lot too, or the mystique of Roy?
Well, I think it was just Nino. I'm saying without Roy, because Nino did have a lot of power, and back then those guys were powerful. You know, it ain't like today. back then these guys had a lot of power. You know what I mean? You could be in California. If they wanted you, they just make a phone call and you're gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That stuff always strikes me. Now I live not far from the Gemini. And I always say to myself, how was that transition with Joey and Patty going from Gambino land to Lucchese land? Did they report to Patty? I mean, did they report to Gas Pipe after that? Or was that just a rumor I read in a book?
Well, you know what? They probably reported to I mean, they probably had a captain. I don't know who their captain was. They might have reported probably to Lester Reno or somebody. But it just goes to show you how politics play a big thing in the mafia. These are guys that are around Roy DeMeo, but now it's time for Roy DeMeo to go.
Since they're 16, they will buy him.
Exactly. So the thing is, Roy DeMeo has to go. So you know what? They kill Roy DeMeo, they elevate themselves now. You know, they're gonna get straightened out. So,
Gas Pipe mentions in his book, and for everyone who didn't hear that, when they were probing, Frankie DeChico went up and told Gas Pipe, yo, John's gonna make a move on Paul, and supposedly Gas Pipe says, is he out of his fucking mind? He's signing his death warrant. He said, this is just the way it is. He goes, we want to know how you feel. And of course, what did Gas Pipe say? I don't give a fuck about Paul. But he didn't give a fuck about anybody. But once that commission got together and said, we're going to use the noose. We're going to get everybody around John's power. And we want him to feel the noose closing in. And if you look about who got killed, that's exactly what that fucking chin was fucking vicious, man.
I tell you, the chin might have had 200 bodies. You know, all he had to do was touch his chin. He got to go. But the chin was a real gangster. Just that, you know what? He couldn't live that life. The only thing I disagree with the chin is that he had to play sick. And you know what? If you're going to be in that life, you got to enjoy that life. You know what I mean? I mean, put a suit on, go out to dinner. You know what I'm saying? Hang out with some good, beautiful woman and, you know, hang out with a crew. I mean, that's the part he didn't get to enjoy, you know?
Think about that, right? Now, when Sammy did a thing on a guy named, from my town, John DeGilio, who's a Bayonne guy, they killed him in '88, and the guy who actually whacked him is supposedly the acting capo now. This is all public knowledge. I read this. So we, growing up as a little kid, I'm 10, 12 years old. What business do I have of knowing who the fucking local gangster is, you know? But we all knew.
Yeah.
We all knew. Don't go by the, you know, the pipe fitters union. Don't go down by the, you know, longshoreman area. Don't rot. Like, we knew what Johnny D spot.
And that's the thing too. You know what? Certain families have certain locations in the area. Like you know, for example, 13th Avenue is known for the Colombo Crime Family.
Yep.
You know, Bath Avenue was known for the Bonanos and some Gambinos. You know what I'm saying? You know, and maybe you had a Genovese social club off the corner.
Yeah, they were always like in the background, the West Side. They were always like in the shadows.
The West Side, listen, the West Side is the smartest, you know, and the Gambinos always say that they were the best. You know, they shit didn't stink. But I don't know. I mean, if you go down in history with all these guys, Tommy Lucchese, Vito Genovese, Carlo Gambino, Joe Bonanno, and you know, Colombo. I mean, these guys, you know, I mean, it's fascinating what they created.
Oh my God, yeah.
Family, it's insane.
It's a culture. They created a culture.
It's insane. It really is. It's insane how they created these families and they recruit these young kids. And you got to prove yourself. And you know what? Eventually, you become a part of the family. You know what I mean?
What about this?
Look at my friend Fabrizio Di Franzese, for example.
Okay.
You know, we grew up in the same building, growing up as kids. Who would ever think he'd be the one to get straightened out? So he's doing 35 years right now. On his 35, I don't know what he does, maybe 30. He's got maybe another 10 left, 9 left. Now, when you do time, that builds your name up as respect. That builds respect on your name.
To other gangsters.
Exactly. So when he comes home, this kid might have the opportunity to even run the family. Who knows? He might be a boss one day. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I personally see how this is shrinking. This over the last 30 years, how this Cosa Nostra is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And like Sammy said, the biggest family out there is the U.S. government.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
when the fear of the U.S. government outweighed the fear of Cosa Nostra, you can burn the state on your ass.
Yep.
Because when it comes down to it, it's a matter of survival. So when I hear guys talking, I'm not talking about your show particularly, and they talk this gangbanger talk. And I don't know if you know what I mean by it, but but Sammy didn't do this and Johnny should have done that. We can't say. We are observers from across the street, and the little information we get is from guys like you. Because guys who are in the mix, very seldom do they come out and share.
Exactly.
That's it. But those guys are dwindling away, and it's every man, and everybody's a racketeer now. There's no gangsters. There's no strong arms. Everybody's a scammer.
Yes.
We picked up the Daily News in the 80s and 90s.
Everybody today is looking for somebody that has money to become their friend, because that's an easier way for them to move up. I mean, because today what you want to do is you want to open up a business. If you're in the mob, whether you want to open up a cafe, maybe a pool hall, but you want to open up a business in the neighborhood, and in the community, you want to make your community better. This is what's wrong with the Italians today. All the Italians, we move out of the neighborhood.
It's Chinese in Bensonhurst.
Yeah, instead of making our community better and making the Italians come in, we want to kill each other, and that's
jealousy, anger, envy, and who's the king of the mountain?
Exactly, and that's the downfall of the Italian mafia. And the thing is, even in these other cities, you know what? That's why they destroyed the mafia, because they stopped making guys. Say in Detroit, say in Pittsburgh, you used to have mafia families in these cities, but then they stopped making guys. So once you stop making guys, you have no more family. And eventually that's what's going to happen in New York.
It's going to disintegrate to anything. Like I said,
it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Because look, there's too much technology. Years ago, there was no cameras. I mean, you can't trust people no more. It's a different world. Who's wearing a wire? There ain't no honor. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And it's a treacherous life.
It sure is, my friend. Jimmy, I could probably sit here with an espresso someday and talk with you for hours, but we're on live TV, and I know you've got a lot of patrons that probably want to get on and say hello. But thanks for picking up my comments and having a chat with me, buddy.
Hey, G, thank you, man.
All right, pal.
Have a good night.
Sorry about the face. I look like I have I'm pitching for the Yankees.
Yeah, you look good. Don't worry, you're fine.
Take care, pal. Be good.
Bye-bye.
Bless.
Okay, that was Eddie G. Jay Barron, thank you for the $50. I truly appreciate it. Well, people, everyone, thanks for coming on. 2 hours, 20 minutes. Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull. So what I'm going to leave off with is Sammy the Bull is definitely a gangster. He made tons of money. He made his bones. I respect him very much. And what he's doing right now on YouTube, he's creating a legacy. He has the best podcast out there for sure. His stories are amazing. He has a team behind him that is awesome. And I love the way he tells a story. Michael Franzese, I respect him. I think the man that he is today, with his ministry, changing people's lives, he's a businessman. He has an inner circle where he gets all these people together and they talk about certain topics. I respect everything he's doing. And he was definitely a gangster also, for sure, 100%. But I have to say that they're both very smart to get out of that mafia life. And where they are today is a big accomplishment. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Until next Sunday, I'll see you again. Everyone, I hope you're eating a nice Sunday meal with your family. And thank you for joining me on my Sunday show. With that said, to all my followers and friends and family, I love you guys. Until next time. See you again soon. Bye. Love you.